that there is no government on the planet Earth with enough money to reverse climate change. It's just not going to happen. It's too much money. So what has been the approach all over the world has been try to regulate these emissions, right? Try to punish industries, the private sector. Try to enforce companies to reverse what they're doing. But it's not working. It's not working because even companies can't afford to be green. Let's just face it. And also there's another problem, which is, of course we need green energy. But if you look at the trajectory, the energy demand is rising faster than we can produce green energy. So in 2050, even if we're going to have a lot more green energy than we have today, the problem is going to be worse. So how can a small startup invert that, or try to invert that? You have to invent something out of the box, and that is why I came to the invention part, right? And I have to be honest, I'm not going to try to blow my own horn, but I have to kind of a little bit just to get a point across. When we started out and we said we needed to create a win-win to change how we do CO2 emissions, we can't do it punishing companies. It has to be something that's in it for them as well, right? So that was what we were thinking of. So when we came up with an idea to say, let's do something that's energy efficiency, so try to mitigate that demand so that green energy can catch up with it. So that way industries can spend less money. That's something they're going to be interested in. So when we started out, we reached out to universities, to industry leaders, to everybody. And everybody, of course, told us that was impossible. And it's even more impossible than a small rinky-dink startup from Italy can find the idea that's going to save the planet, right? But this is the question. If you want industries to be more efficient, to be less polluting, it has to have something in it to them. Today, the technology exists. So what we had to do is we had to do the whole thing ourselves. So the whole development of our technology, patent it, do the whole thing, do the POC. And I have to say one thing. We finished this project with development in August. And since August, we've been the first startup ever to be accepted into a co-prototype in their scale-up. Never has a foreign company come in, and you would know that. We have signed a pilot project for $6 billion companies in Italy in 3 months. We have not been able to find €1 in funding, not one, simply because it's a technology that doesn't exist. But, to your point, if you find technologies like that, then people will want to do it. And we made another sacrifice in that sense, and that is, if you want to reverse this, it can't be capital intensive. You cannot ask industries to spend billions of dollars or governments to spend billions of dollars because the money is just not there. So that's why, for instance, our technology, we offer it free of all. We do not take any money for it. We do the full implementation in the factories. It's a plug and play. It's up and running in 10 minutes. And we do it for free because we can take a gain share, right? We can take a percentage of the savings. But we did this because whatever technology that you want to invent, if it's green, if it's efficiency, if it's deep tech, it has to be available to everybody, not just big corporates who has a lot of money, but the medium-sized factory, the small factory. And the factories are important for CO2 because not many people know this, but in Europe, 77% of CO2 is emitted to produce energy. And 40% of that energy is consumed by industries. And I just told my new friend over there that worldwide, in our sector, $3.5 trillion is spent every year on motor-driven machinery. And 1.4 trillion of that is energy waste. Just to put it into numbers.
Thank you. We're going to spend just a few more minutes here. I think our time is up, but I've been given the leeway of a few more minutes. We're going to have a question here. Now, your product is really the tracking of the eyes and the neurology connection. The big challenge for the last 30 years, whenever health tech came about in the United States is, and this is always well it's been explained to me, no matter how much money a Bill Gates or now Elon Musk or Warren Buffett has, when their doctor says, you know, I think you should use this, their question is, will my insurance pay for it? So I'd like to get a sense of how do you deal, because that's still an ongoing challenge. There's a difference between consumer use and the commercialization. And I'd like you to address that. You're talking about going to the US market. Even hospitals, if you're going to sell to hospitals, they're still going to want to know how is insurance going to pay for it. It's all about the code and paying for that. Obviously, the insurance, health insurance system in the United States is different. I'll call it broken. That's not going to shock anybody. But it is different than in Europe. But then there's pros and cons when it comes to taxes and how you pay for it. So how do you address that to the question? Because it's still, you're going to the most regulated
Yes, open offices.